Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Hope you had a good and safe 4th of July. The fly I'm going to tie for you today is a pretty tricky one to get the hang of, and I've been tying these since yesterday for an order, trying to get the hang of them. Starting off, tying is not that bad, but once you get to putting the EP fiber on and the legs, it's pretty challenging. But this is a fly that anyone who fly fishes in the surf, you should probably have. So the hook is a size 2 saltwater hook, and I have medium lead eyes on that. This is a fly that you want to get down there on the bottom and stay on the bottom. Thread, pretty important to use a fluorescent orange. This is Danville 210, but it also works using Viva 6/0. It's almost a little easier to use Viva 6/0 because it's thinner, but I have more Danville. Material, like I said, it's pretty simple. Some Mcfly foam and orange, some orange eye stub, EP fiber, some micro bug legs from Fly Tire Dungeon, some Sili legs, and some ultra chenille. So not real hard, or not a whole lot into it. It's more of the process of tying everything in. And this is going to be a long video, so I'm going to try to speed it up to where I can. Anyway, I got a thread base down. First material going in is going to be some orange, this orange Mcfly foam. I like to spin my bobbin up. It makes the thread smaller diameter. I can grab onto it better without it wanting to spin so much. And I like to work down just a little bit into the bend. About right there. It makes it easier to cut if you can stretch this out. I don't know if I'll be able to stretch this piece enough. So I have a hair clip on my vise. There we go. I like to do that. It stretches it out, makes it easier to cut, but then I can come in and cut away this excess. I have several of these that I've tied for my box. Hopefully next month I'm going to go and try them out in the surf for some pompano. These flies here are going to the shop in California. That's the trout spot. I'll put a link to the shop in the description. That's where a lot of my flies go. I just want to cover this up, make it nice and smooth for the rest. So it's kind of important where you're tying this in, because you want to be able to start the EP fiber as far back as you can, because it's really easy to crowd the eye when you get close to the front, and then it just makes it more difficult. So stretch it out, cut it where you have a nice little ball there. Next, we're going to do some eye stub and orange. Now if you can take it and try to line it, and I would do so. Me, I put it in my palm and I just roll it up. It makes it easier for me to tie in. Go on the side of the hook, tie it in, and then wrap down to the foam. I'm going to bring my thread back up, and this piece over here, grab it, Try to pull it to the other side and then lock it in so you have the flash coming out the back. And once again, go over this and cover it all up. And this is where I think the Vivas would come in hand and to play more than the Danville. Danville can bulk up pretty quick, and wrapping over all this, you don't want a big ball there because then the rest of your fibers just gonna slip down and makes it annoying. The ice dub, cut it just a bit longer than the Mcfly foam. Next, have these micro bug legs from Fly Tire Dungeon. I'm going to add these to the top just for a little extra movement. Kind of on the side, but on the top. This stuff's long and it always gets in the way. Then take this, fold it back over. And you want to try to cover this up because you want a nice orange underbody. And these, I just kind of judge, cut them off so that you get some nice movement from them in the water. Now we want one Sili leg cut in half, and this is the orange and clear. I'm actually going to start on this side. These you just want, I like to tie them to where there's a little bit of clear coming out before it starts to orange. Try to get it on the side of the hook. It's going to be a little difficult. Those micro bug legs like to go everywhere. I don't want to put too much pressure on the legs because I don't want them to flare out. So I'll put the pressure coming back. I'm going to grab this leg and pull it out some. And I'm just going to do some loose wraps going up. About like that. And the same thing on the other side. Same thing, I don't want to do a whole lot of pressure on the leg. So light wraps. Myself a little more thread here to work with. Light wraps, and then when you come back, you can put down more pressure just so the legs don't flare out. I like to wrap up a little bit on it. That way I have a pretty smooth transition from this bump where we tied everything in to the rest of the hook. Makes it a lot easier for the next few steps. Once again, I'm going to cover all this up. So I want that nice orange underbelly. I'm going to leave my thread about halfway to the barb. I might move back just a little more. But for my legs, I go to about right here on my vise. And I cut them off that way. They're pretty even. Alright, so with that being done, that was the easy part. Now we're going to flip the fly over. And I got some EP fiber already ready to go. This is another one. For me, it's easier if I roll it. So I'll lay it flat and I'll just roll it. That way everything stays together. Makes it a lot easier for me to work with. So I'm going to move my thread back just a little bit to about right here. Without catching any of these legs. I'm going to give this a good spin counterclockwise. Now this is the only one that I have to do this with, where I have the whole piece, being I'm so close to the barb or the point of the hook. I don't have a whole lot of room. So I take it and I fold it over. And then I can get it to where I can tie it down. And you want to try to move it around to where both of these are the same. So both one in front of the other. And take your thread and really jam it up in there to help stand that up. Now we're going to come in with a tan, and this is what's tricky about this fly, is you want these to be as close together as possible, or you're going to have problems in the front when it comes to room with tying in the legs and your last couple clumps of EP. I want to spin my bobbin again and get these legs out of here. And once again, we have tan EP. Gonna fold it over my bobbin. And like I said, this is the only one I have to do this with, are these first two clumps. After this, I will just cut a clump and hold it at an angle and try to tie it in that way. This is another one. It's more on the side of the hook. And you want them pretty much on top of the hook shank. So I just take my forceps and I make sure everything is looking good. Get these legs out of here again. And once again, I want to jam some thread wraps right up in there. The closer you can get this fiber together when you're doing these few steps, the better the fly will look in the end. Now I'm going to grab my handy dandy forceps. Helps if I open them. Get them to where I can grab one. So a piece of ultra chenille. These out of here. Once again, I want to spin my bobbin up. And once again with this, you want to get it as close to that fiber as possible. Do an X wrap over it. This piece might have moved. So now that you get that in, get some thread wraps right up close to it to lock that in. And now we can go through and trim this fiber. And what I do is use the hook point as a guide of the length I want. And we will go back and you're gonna trim the body up. But I just leave the fiber together like this. It helps me keep everything really close. Get that gray out of there. And the same thing with this. I just go right under the hook point and cut that off. Gray moved a little bit, but I think I got it right back. So these first couple clumps, when you tie them in like this, at least with me only being able to get one wrap of thread around them, they will move. So I try to hold off on trimming them other than removing the big clumps like that. So they will move until the end when we hit everything with resin. So I just want to try to keep that in place. Because if that falls out, then I got to restart, and I don't want to. So any long fibers, go ahead and get them out of there. And this is where it starts to get more tricky. A long fiber there. Alright, so once again, get your thread right up close to it. And right in here, we're going to do the same step we just did 2 more times. So I'm going to fast forward that so that you don't have to sit here and watch the same thing over and over. And I will be with you all in a minute. Alright, so you can see it's not hard. It's tedious. Trying to keep that material exactly where you want it. And then coming back and trimming it out. So now we just want to trim the bulk of it. Any overly long fibers, get out of there. Now I don't want to trim too much on it just yet, so I don't want anything to move. And out of 12, this is probably my best one so far. So just check the bottom, make sure you have no fibers. Before we do that, we're going to whip finish. Alright, now we're going to get our bobbin out of there. Now on this very back clump, and you can see it makes, it's hard to see on camera, but it makes a cool mottled looking shell. Now this clump in the back I'm going to be really careful with, because it did move on me. So I'm going to get it where I want it, like that. And I'll turn the fly over. Get all this stuff out of here. Then you can use whatever you like. I'm using Solares Thin Hard. And what I'm going to do is turn it on its side just a little bit. I'm going to give this a really good coat all the way across. I like doing this in 2 parts. Well, I guess technically 3. Get the side and the top. Then hit it with your light. And what this is going to do is not only is it going to protect the thread on the bottom and give it more of a glossy look, but any of them thread wraps that might have slipped or you had a clump of loose material, this is going to lock it down to where it can't move and start falling apart and make a more durable fly. So that side being done, now I'm going to come over back to this side and do the same thing. coat it on there really good. That way it gets all those thread wraps. It locks everything in. Give it a good healthy dose of UV. Can't seem to talk today. And while I'm at it with the resin, I'm going to go ahead and do my lead eyes and the thread wraps in the front. Make sure you don't have any legs in there before you cure it. And with that all locked in, now you can go back and you can figure out where you need to trim. I'm not going to bore you with that because you can literally trim on these for an hour. All you want is a nice little dome shape. I don't know how well that comes out, but that's a mole crab. And this is something that almost all the fish in the surf eat. So it's an excellent fly to have in your arsenal. There are easier ones out there. There are different ones. I liked this one with the EP fiber. So this is the one that I set out to learn. It's not terrible. I'll figure it out one day to get a better shape on it. And to get my proportions right. Because the EP fiber, it's tricky to get your proportions. But not a super bad fly. Not super hard. Definitely takes some time and some practice. But I hope y'all liked it. I know my videos are long. I'm tying as fast as I can, realistically. But if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you're new. Or if you're returning and haven't subscribed, consider it. We'll do more tying. Hopefully soon I'm going to be able to do some fishing. Hunting season is coming in, so I'll have some hunting videos up as well. But until next time, y'all have a good one, and I will see y'all later.